big things continue to happen, and now we're going to get into some numbers. All right. So the earlier video was more heavy on the entertainment, although explosive news as per lately. But now we're going to get into some numbers. And I want to knock this out first before we get into some regular articles, because it's the most difficult for me to remember all of these numbers at the same time. So now, with the movements that are happening with the banks and things that are happening in the United States, which could shift interoperability, could shift smart contract burdens heavily over to the private sector, the DLT companies. And we'll get into that in a moment. But with that being established, right, being a heavy possibility, we have to look at what's on the table. So now, the first question I will have is, how many banks right now, as a firm estimate, how many banks exist in the world right now? And it is estimated that there are 44,000 banks in the world right now. Of course, give or take, banks open and close all the time, but it's a rough estimate. So now, it was, I believe, in 2020, there were a lot of prestigious organizations. I'm trying to remember if one of them was Deloitte. I'm looking at information down here as I'm speaking, but I believe their estimate was in 2020, 15% of banks were looking into distributed ledger technology. Yep, it was. Okay, I found it. According to a report by Deloitte, in 2020, only about 15% of banks globally had implemented DLT solutions for cross-border payments. And of course, that's an estimation. So at 15% in 2020, I couldn't find how many banks right now they estimate to have implemented DLT. So, but if it was 15% in 2020, let's give them, knowing how slow their systems work and update, I'm giving them about 20%. So let's say that there's 20% of banks globally have implemented distributed ledger technology. So then, of course, we have to, if we know that there are estimated to be 44,000 banks in the world right now, globally, and then we're giving them 20% have implemented DLT, then 20% of 44,000 is 8,800. So now, 8,800 would be the number of banks that have implemented the technology. So then let's subtract that from 44,000, which would give us 35,200 banks. So, and these are estimates, of course, but that would leave, theoretically speaking, I know there's a lot that I'm not taking into account. I'm just trying to get a raw number, because with that number, then we can start to think about the money that could flow through some of these bank coins, possibly, right? We're dealing with possibility here. So, but 35,200 banks that theoretically would mean are on the table. They have not implemented DLT. They're probably siloed. They need companies to step in like Ripple, maybe Stellar, Algorand, Quant, Flare, Solana, Chainlink. I have all of these. So any of those companies working with any banks is a win for me. So I'm keeping that in mind. But that's a lot of banks, 35,200. Do you really believe that, let's say, Quant or Ripple, someone like that, can't take 1,000 of those? Just 1,000. They have global reach. Why would if Ripple already had 300 banks, and we know Quant is associated with hundreds upon hundreds of banks, especially because of their relationship with Nexi and Chain, 300, 400, 500, that's not that far from 1,000. And I actually think they could do more than that. You want me to be 100% completely honest? I believe they could do more than that. How long it will take, I don't know. That I don't know. But 1,000 banks out of 35,200 is nothing. Nothing. They all need distributed ledger technologies. That's why did you watch that last members only video? Go watch that last members only video. I put out like yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. Look at who joined a certain project. There's about to be massive money flowing through some of these projects. And then look at the associations. with that project, right? Something is going on. You don't get all of this activity, and then you get Ripple, like we covered this morning's video, doing what they just did. That was a bold sign, a bold showing. That's one of the most bullish things that could have ever happened, and it tells me they know something. They know something the people don't. And I said this before. I said, why does it seem like Brad Garlinghouse is so excited? And a lot of people pshawed that and just wrote it off. And I feel like I think a little bit deeper than the superficial. Some people were like, he's supposed to be excited. You know, they're the CEO of some people actually say he's the CEO of XRP. He's the CEO of Ripple, you know, which also has a stable coin. But they have a loyalty to XRP. But I don't think that that's why they're excited. Now, listen, we're all excited because we want to make a lot of money off of these protocol, I would think. That's why most people are in crypto. I don't think most people are in crypto because they're in love with cryptocurrency. They want to make some good money off crypto and ride off into the sunset. And so I believe that he knows about some partnerships or something that's coming, or I could be completely wrong, but he knows about something that's making him, Monica Long, the company as a whole, very, very bullish, pushing XRP like crazy right now. Not just them. That's just one dimension. Don't worry, we got more to cover because we have some bank information we're going to get into. Yes, this is going to be almost a surgical video again. But all of the other large institutions have been going absolutely insane with real world asset tokenization. So now let's move on here. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but that's a lot of banks. That's a lot of capital on the table for the taking. So now let's move on here. We have this. This article here is very impactful. Look at this. Listen to this. U.S. crypto regulations are moving against a CBDC and non-compliant stablecoins like Tether. This is coming from JP Morgan. I'm going to put Tether to the side. That's not important to me. If they're moving against deploying a CBDC, then that means that all that money, they're going to need somebody to move that value. They're going to need someone, companies, a few companies maybe, to move that value around the world and to act as that digital layer. Now, 2 years ago, if people remember, there was a representative out of the Fed, I believe the Fed in New York, and that representative said that they may not need a CBDC because they had stable coins, right? Now, we're not talking about Tether. At the time, they were referencing USDC. But wait a minute, there's a new player on the table that's associated with XRP that complements XRP, and it's none other than the Ripple stablecoin. Now, who has a great relationship with the Fed? Ripple, Stellar, Algorand. They have great relationships with the Fed. But let's continue on here. But if they don't issue a CBDC, then all of that value, all of the interoperability is on the table. It's for the taking for the new financial system. Is there a possibility maybe? And I'll read the article. Bear with me. I'm throwing some thoughts out there. Is there a possibility that someone in the government may be bullish on some bank coins, or, you know, and they're shifting this in the favor, and who knows? Maybe they want to make not life-changing wealth, because sometimes these people have their hands on that anyway. They want to make wealth for generations for real. You know, so they want to make so much money possibly that no one in their family ever struggles again till the end of time, it would seem, right? I'm just playing with thoughts. But sometimes, let me tell you something right now, people will rig things. So why, if the entire world is issuing a CBDC, why would the United States be the ones going against it right now? You see what I'm saying? And I don't put it past you. You heard about the sports betting thing recently? Somebody got in trouble. They were rigging it, and that person had millions, and people were saying, why would they rig a game if they had millions? It doesn't matter. So that's not the reason why they do that sometimes. I'm just saying, if it happens in sports, it happens everywhere else. And it happens in the entertainment industry. I can tell you that right now. It definitely does. Where they rig a part where somebody's definitely going to get the part. That's it. Like everybody can audition, but this one person here, the audition is just for pretend. That person was chosen a long time ago. If they can do it there, they can do it with CBDCs. They can do it with digital assets. It's interesting. Let's continue on here. It says out of 4 recent crypto regulatory initiatives, the stablecoin bill has the highest chance of being passed before the U.S. presidential election, the report said. It says here, bullet point number 1, crypto regulatory initiatives have stepped up in the U.S. in recent months, JP Morgan said. Second bullet point, the stablecoin bill is most likely to be approved before the presidential election. All right, third bullet point, issuance. Now, this is what I'm paying attention to. Third bullet point, issuance of a central bank digital currency is less likely after the House passed a bill last month banning the Federal Reserve from doing so. The bank said, I didn't even know about this. I cover a lot of different news. I can't see everything. I can't. But I did not see this. I don't remember reading this. Maybe it was big news. I just didn't see it. But anyway, that's huge. Without a CBDC, there is a void to be filled. They need a system. Now, Faster Payments Council. Who's on the Faster Payments Council? Ripple. Who's on the Faster Payments Task Force? Two separate things. Ripple. Both of them work with the U.S. government. There's a few other companies in there. Don't get me wrong. But I'm concentrating on Ripple because they bring XRP to the table. Man, things are getting insane right now. I'm having a good time finally again. I love times like this when there's a lot of activity. Give me some more activity. U.S. crypto regulations seem to be moving. They reiterate that again. I don't know why. Let's scroll. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. They talk about stable coins a little bit more. Central bank digital currency anti-surveillance state act is an attempt to block a U.S. CBDC and prevents the Federal Reserve banks from offering certain products to consumers and from using central bank digital currency for monetary policy. The report added the House passed a bill banning the Federal Reserve from issuing a CBDC last month. However, its prospects in the Senate are unclear. Okay, so we'll see how all this shakes out. But if this stands, that paves the way for the new financial system to act as a more important layer than we could have ever imagined. And that means more money than people could have ever imagined. They're going to need a way to interface, to interact with the rest of the world's digital systems because they're coming one way or the other. So also in that one way or the other, the United States is going to need a system. If it's not a system that they're putting out themselves, where does it come from? It comes from the new financial system, the fintechs. It has to. And it would be a conglomeration. It would be a bunch of them together. And I think they're all in agreement. They don't step on each other's toes. I told people that before, but we shall see. I could be wrong. Nothing's written in stone. Not financial advice. We shall see. So now, with that being established, so we did some numbers in the beginning. Second chapter, we did this here. That was insane. That's very impactful. Now let's move on here because we just talked about QCB, QNB. They're the same thing pretty much. One has 51%. 51% market control. All right. That's unbelievable. So that's a pretty significant bank. So, but when I start hearing about banks becoming active once again, I start thinking about the numbers. So now let's read a little bit of QNB's 2024. This is from April 23rd, 2024. Their financial statement. I love the numbers, don't you? So now we'll read this little tidbit here and get a little bit more abreast of what's going on with QNB. QNB Corporation, the parent company of QNB Bank, which is a Ripple partner, reported net income for the first quarter of 2024 of $2,594,000 or 71 per share on a diluted basis. This compares to net income of $4,118,000 or $1.15 per share on a diluted basis for the same period in 2023. For the quarter that ended March 31st, 2024, the annualized rate of return on average assets and average shareholders' equity was 0.59% and 6.53% respectively. So looking pretty good so far. The operating performance of the bank, a wholly owned subsidiary of QNB Corporation, declined for the quarter ended in March 31st, 2024. Yes, but a lot of banks did have that little bit of a decline, so that's nothing major in my humble opinion. In comparison with the same period in 2023, due primarily to interest margin compression causing $298,000 decline. All right. So the following table, it says, presents disaggregated net income. QNB Bank from 3/31/2024 was 2 million. I'm assuming these are in millions. $2,331,000. QNB Corporation, $263,000. Consolidated net income, $2,594,000. Total assets. Here we go. Total assets of March 31st, 2024 were $1,716,081,000 compared with $1,706,318,000 at December 31st, 2023. This is a healthy bank. The total assets increased. This is who Ripple's dealing with. Total available for sale debt securities decreased by $8 million. I'm rounding that off. Actually, I should probably round that up as 8.85. So really 9 million if I really wanted to round it accurately. It says, or 1.8%. Loans receivable increased by to $29 million or 2.7%. Says, quote, looking at our fundamentals, the bank showed solid core performance for the first quarter of 2024, including deposit growth, loan growth, and a significant reduction in short-term borrowings, unquote. Now, keep in mind the connections that QNB has with that much power in that region and that much influence. So now we're going to move on from QNB, all right? Because as soon as I think of QNB, since we're in that region, as soon as I think of QNB, I start to think of Attijariwafa. Yes, yeah. And I expect, I expect to hear something maybe on this coming up soon, because that whole region is getting hot right now with activity for distributed ledger technology. Once again, if you didn't watch that members only video, make sure you watch that members only video. Someone major got active. So anyway, now Attijariwafa, their most recent financial information was available the end of 2023. It says key financial figures for Attijariwafa Bank, another one of Ripple's banks, the end of 2023. Okay, so Attijariwafa. So now the first numbers they give us are the total consolidated balance sheet, which was 659. Oh, and these are in billions of MAD. So 659 billion MAD, which equates to 63.69 billion US dollars. And then let's go back here. So the next numbers is net banking income. And they have 29.9 billion MAD, which comes out to 2.9 billion US dollars. These are major banks that Ripple is dealing with. These are not small fish. So then the last number they give us is the consolidated net income, which is 9.1, and it was up plus 19%, which comes out to 911 million US dollars. Now look at the numbers that they increased on. The total consolidated balance sheet increased by plus 5.4%. Net banking income increased plus 15%. And consolidated net income increased plus 19%. This is a healthy bank. And that's in addition. So keep in mind, all of these banks that Ripple has been working with look extremely healthy. And that's including the Swiss banks that we covered the other day that they're working with through Clear Junction? I believe that was the name of the company. So now let's see what we have here. We have a few more articles here we'll close out with. Okay, so now we're going to get to the Bitcoin news. We have a little bit of Bitcoin news, and this one is coming out of Franklin Templeton, which is a stellar blockchain enthusiast. All right. This article is titled, "Another Wave of Bitcoin ETF Adoption is Coming." This was said by Franklin Templeton CEO Jenny Johnson. who is super bullish on distributed ledger technologies. It says here, Franklin Templeton CEO Jenny Johnson said in an interview this week that she's, quote, feeling good, unquote, about U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs, with her company's fund aiming to capture more market share from an unexpected future spike in demand to hit producers or products. Sorry about that. My apologies. Quote, you haven't even gotten the second wave, unquote, said Johnson in an interview with CNBC published on Tuesday. Quote, this is really the first wave of the early adopters, and I think the next wave is bigger institutions who get more comfortable with how it settled out, unquote. Spot Bitcoin ETFs hauled over $13 billion in net inflows within less than 3 months after their launch on January the 11th and have taken in $14.8 billion to date. This helped drive Bitcoin's price up over 60%. So if she's saying it's going to be bigger, the second wave, and the first one drove Bitcoin's price up over 60%, how high do you think Bitcoin is going to go? We're talking about going past the moon and into the stars. We're talking intergalactic travel at this point, folks. And I can't wait. I hope it happens. I was hoping it happens today. Somebody out there like, what do you mean, Mikhail? Mick, what do you mean today? Man, listen, I want this stuff to happen as fast as possible, but I'm also patient. But yeah, let me tell you, I can't wait. So anyway, both ETF inflow. When I repeat stuff, people take umbrage to that. My goodness. Both ETF inflows and price actions stagnated through April and May, leading to some speculation that demand had already peaked. It's more difficult to show love than it is to show, frustration and anger and such, right? Anybody can show frustration and anger. Showing love is very difficult. Showing love is worth something. It has substance, is rare. So it's worth doing. Anything else that doesn't have substance to me is not worth doing. However, a slew of SEC disclosures in April showed that large investors and firms, while having made many high-profile Bitcoin purchases, still only comprised about 20% of the new Bitcoin ETF assets under management. All right, so now let's move on here. This is our last article here. I want to cover this one. It's interesting. A little bit of Coinbase news. Now, this article is about a new Coinbase wallet. It's titled A New Era in Crypto Wallets. Smart Wallet is here. All right, so Coinbase has something new going on. It says smart wallets allow users to create a free, secure self-custody wallet in just a few seconds. They simplify onboarding, reduce the number of transactions to be signed, and seamlessly let you use your Coinbase balances on chain. No more topping off your wallet for gas fees. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, nice. Or struggling with cross-app portability. With smart wallets, new users will be able to mint an NFT in your wallet. Interesting. Trade on decentralized exchanges or diversify their investment with DeFi apps in just a few clicks. Listen, I don't proclaim to know everything. I don't. So I don't know all about this minting an NFT inside of a wallet. I don't know about that. It says users can enjoy a fluid and intuitive experience without sacrificing self-custody or their security. I'm more used to you go to a website and then you mint the NFT there. Like you create the NFT there on the website. So that's what I know. So, Coinbase is doing some interesting things. They have bullet points here. The first one is effortless onboarding. It also offers easy to pay on-chain, cross-app portability, and of course, go gasless. Developers can choose to offer gasless experiences and sponsor transactions for their customers via Paymaster integration. So that's interesting. All right. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.